Good morning students, welcome to P.N.AMERSEY e-learning classes. In our previous video, we have studied about the spinning from cotton yarn. Now we are going to study 3.5 yarn to fabric. Dear students, there are many ways by which fabrics are made from yarns. The two main processes are weaving and knitting. First one is given to you. The process of arranging two sets of yarns together to make fabric is called weaving. In activity 2, you might have studied that a fabric is made up of two sets of yarns arranged together. Let us try to weave some paper strips. Here, some activity is given to you in figure 3.12. What is that activity? Activity is given to you weaving with paper strips. What things will you require? 3 sheets of stiff paper of different colors, a scale and a pair of scissors. How will you do it? What is the method? Cut square pieces of 30 cm from each paper. Take one square and fold it into half. Figure A, you can see how it is done. Draw a light pencil line across the end opposite to the fold, about 1 inch from the edge. Make a series of cuts 1 inch apart from the folded edge to this line. You can see in figure B how it has been done. Cut strips of paper 1 inch apart from the other colored square papers. You can see in the figure C. Take a strip and weave it alternately over and under the strips in the first sheet as shown in figure D. Then weave the remaining strips one by one through the cuts in the sheet of figure paper E. We obtained this pattern after weaving all the strips as shown. Observe. What can you observe? We get a woven mat which is similar to the woven fabric. In the same ways, two sets of yarns are woven to make a fabric. The yarns are much thinner than the paper strip. In figure 3.12, we have seen weaving with paper strips. The process that is known as weaving. Now, dear children, the process of arranging two sets of yarns together to make a fabric is called weaving, that is in definition. The process of weaving is done on a loom also. Weaving means that has been done on a small scale by using a hand looms. On a large scale, cotton fabrics are made by big machines that run on electricity. These machines are called power looms. To understand this, you can see a pic in your textbook figure 3.13. Now, our second yarn to fabric is knitting. In knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Dear children, have you noticed how sweaters are knitted? In knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Have you ever pulled the yarn from a torn pair of socks? What happens? A single yarn gets pulled out continuously as the fabric gets unraveled. Socks and many other clothing items are made of knitted fabrics. Knitting is done by hand and also by machines. Weaving and knitting are used for making different kinds of fabrics. These fabrics are used for a variety of cloth items. History of clothing. Material. Have you ever wondered what materials people used in ancient times for clothes? It appears that in those times people used the bark and big leaves of trees or animal skins and furs to cover themselves. After that, people began to settle in agricultural communities. They learned to weave twigs and grass into mats and baskets. Vines, animal fleece, or hair were twisted together into long strands. These were woven into fabrics. The early Indians wore fabrics made out of cotton that grew in the regions near the river Ganga. Flax is also a plant that gives natural fibers. In ancient Egypt, cotton as well as flax were cultivated near the river Nile. and were used for making fabrics. In those days, stitching was not known. People simply draped the fabrics around different parts of their body. Many different ways of draping fabrics were used. With the invention of the sewing needle, people started stitching fabrics to make cloths. Stitched cloths have gone through many variations since this invention, but it is not amazing that even today, sari, dhoti, lungi, or turban is used as an unstitched piece of fabric. Just as there is a large variety in the food eaten all over our country, a large variety exists also in fabrics and clothing items. Thank you, dear students.